We often think strength means anger, calm means weakness, and patience means waiting helplessly. But life teaches us the opposite. When life pushes you, strength keeps you standing. When chaos surrounds you, calm keeps you thinking. And when nothing seems to move, patience keeps you growing. Today, I want to talk to you about a simple formula for a powerful life. Be strong, be calm, be patient. Not sometimes, not when it's easy, but especially when it's hard. Strength is not about how loud your voice is or how hard you hit back when life hits you. Strength is not aggression. Strength is not dominance. Strength is what happens inside you when everything around you is shaking and yet you choose not to lose yourself. Most people think they are strong because they react quickly. Someone says something hurtful, they reply immediately. Something goes wrong, they panic. Someone disrespects them, they raise their voice. But if reacting without thinking was strength, then every storm would be wise. Real strength is not in reaction. Real strength is in restraint. Think about it. When someone insults you, what is easier? To shout back or to stay silent? To lose control or to hold your ground? Anger feels powerful for a moment, but it leaves you weaker afterward. Self-control feels difficult in the moment, but it leaves you powerful for a lifetime. Strength is the ability to pause when your emotions are screaming at you to act. It is the courage to take a breath when your ego wants to win. Anyone can throw a stone, but it takes strength to lower your hand and walk away with dignity intact. Life will test you again and again. It will put you in situations where you feel misunderstood, disrespected, ignored, or treated unfairly. In those moments, your emotions will rise like fire. Your heart will beat faster. Your mind will search for words to defend itself. That is the moment where strength is born, not when you fight, but when you choose how to respond. A strong person is not someone who never feels anger, pain, or frustration. A strong person feels everything deeply, yet does not allow those feelings to control their behavior. They do not hand over the remote control of their life to temporary emotions. Look closely at the people you admire the most. You will notice something common. They do not waste energy proving themselves. They do not explode over small things. They do not react to every opinion, every criticism, every provocation. They understand one simple truth: not every battle deserves their strength. Self-control is not suppression. It is not about pretending everything is fine. It is about awareness. It is about recognizing what you are feeling and still choosing what is right, not what is easy. That choice is strength. When you control your emotions, you control your future. Because emotions push you toward short-term relief, but self-control leads you toward long-term peace. One uncontrolled moment can damage relationships, reputations, and opportunities that took years to build. Many people say, "This is just how I am," but strength begins the moment you stop using your emotions as an excuse and start taking responsibility for your actions. You may not control what happens to you, but you always control how you respond. Even in silence, strength speaks. When you refuse to react to negativity, you send a powerful message, not to others, but to yourself. You tell yourself that your peace matters more than your pride, that your character is more valuable than winning an argument. Strength is choosing calm over chaos. Strength is choosing values over impulses. Strength is choosing growth over instant satisfaction. The strongest people are not the ones who intimidate others. They are the ones who master themselves. Because when you master yourself, no situation can truly defeat you. So the next time life challenges you, remember this: strength is not what you do to others. Strength is what you refuse to let others do to you, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. And when you learn this kind of strength, the world may not always notice it immediately, but life will reward it quietly, steadily, and deeply. Calm is often misunderstood. Many people think calm is something you are born with, like the color of your eyes or the tone of your voice. They say, I'm just not a calm person, as if calmness belongs only to monks, saints, or people with easy lives. But calm is not a personality trait. Calm is a practice. Calm is a discipline. Calm is something you build moment by moment, choice by choice. Look at the world around you. Everything is moving fast. Messages, notifications, opinions, expectations, all arriving at once. In such a world, remaining calm is not natural. It is intentional. And anything intentional requires effort, awareness, and patience with yourself. Calm does not mean that nothing bothers you. Calm means things bother you, but they do not control you. You still feel pressure, disappointment, and fear, but you do not let them push you into decisions you will later regret. Calm is the space between stimulus and response, where wisdom has a chance to speak. Most mistakes in life are not made because we lack intelligence. They are made because we lack calm. We speak when we should listen. We decide when we should wait. We react when we should reflect. In that moment of chaos inside, logic disappears. Calm brings it back. Think about the last time you were overwhelmed. Your mind was noisy, your body tense, your breathing shallow. In that state, even small problems feel huge. Calm has the power to shrink problems back to their real size. It clears the fog. It reminds you that this moment, no matter how intense, is temporary. Calm people are not lucky. They are trained. They have learned to slow down their breathing, to observe their thoughts, to pause before reacting. They have failed many times. They have lost their calm, regretted it, reflected on it, and practiced again. Calmness is built the same way muscles are built, through repetition. One of the greatest myths is that calm means doing nothing. In reality, calm allows you to do the right thing. When your mind is calm, your actions are precise. You do not waste energy on panic. You do not scatter your focus. You move with clarity. When you remain calm, you listen better. You understand people more deeply. You notice what others miss. Calm gives you access to wisdom that noise blocks. That is why in every crisis, we look to the calm person for guidance, not the anxious one. Calm also protects your health. A constantly agitated mind exhausts the body. Stress does not just live in your thoughts, it lives in your muscles, your breath, your sleep. Calm is not a luxury, it is a necessity for a healthy, balanced life. People often say, I'll be calm when things settle down. But life rarely settles down. There will always be another challenge, another responsibility, another uncertainty. Calm is not something you wait for. It is something you bring with you. Learning calm begins with awareness. Noticing when your breath becomes rushed. Noticing when your thoughts start racing. Noticing when your tone changes. That moment of noticing is powerful. It gives you a choice. You may not always succeed. You will lose your calm at times. That does not mean you are weak. It means you are human. The practice is not about perfection. It is about returning. Returning to your breath. Returning to your values. Returning to yourself. Calm is contagious. When you stay calm, you give others permission to slow down too. Your presence becomes grounding. Your words carry more weight. Your silence becomes reassuring. In a noisy world, calm is a quiet strength. It does not announce itself. It does not demand attention. But it changes everything it touches. And the more you practice calm, the more you realize something beautiful. Calm does not make life easier. but it makes you stronger than life's chaos. Patience is one of the most misunderstood qualities in life. Many people think patience means waiting helplessly, doing nothing, or accepting less than you deserve. They believe that if you are patient, you are weak, slow, or afraid to take action. But patience is not passive. Patience is powerful. Patience is silent confidence in motion. When you are impatient, it usually means you doubt the process. You want results immediately because deep inside, you are unsure whether they will come at all. Patience, on the other hand, is rooted in trust in your effort, trust in time, and trust in life's rhythm. A patient person is not lazy, they are secure. Everything meaningful in life grows slowly. A tree does not rush to bear fruit. A river does not panic because it has a long way to go. Nature teaches us patience every day, but we are too distracted to learn. We want success without struggle, growth without discomfort, and answers without waiting. But life does not work that way. Patience is the ability to stay committed even when progress is invisible. It is showing up every day without applause, without recognition, without guarantees. It is working in silence while your mind keeps asking, "Is this even working?" Patience answers softly, "Keep going." Most people quit not because they are incapable, but because they are impatient. They underestimate how long growth takes and overestimate how fast results should come. They give up one step before the breakthrough, one season before the harvest. Patience protects you from making desperate decisions. When you are impatient, you chase shortcuts. You settle for temporary comfort. You rush into choices that look good now, but cost you later. Patience gives you the strength to wait for what aligns with your values, not just your desires. There will be times in life when nothing seems to move. You pray, you work, you try, and still silence. These moments test your patience the most. They make you question yourself, your path, and even your worth. But often, these quiet periods are not delays, they are preparation. Patience is not just about waiting, it is about how you behave while waiting. Do you complain or do you learn? Do you compare or do you focus? Do you grow bitter or do you grow better? Patience shapes your character long before it rewards your effort. A patient person understands timing. They know that forcing things before you are ready can ruin what was meant to flourish. Just because you want something now does not mean now is the right time. Patience allows life to meet you at the right moment, not the rushed one. Patience also builds emotional strength. When you learn to sit with uncertainty, you become resilient. You realize that discomfort does not destroy you. Waiting does not weaken you. In fact, it strengthens your faith in yourself. Some of the most beautiful transformations happen slowly, quietly, without anyone noticing. While you wait, you are changing. Your perspective deepens, your priorities shift, your ego softens. When the result finally arrives, you are not the same person who started the journey. You are ready to hold it. Impatience asks, "Why is this taking so long?" Patience asks, "What is this teaching me?" That shift in question changes everything. In a world that glorifies instant success, patience becomes an act of courage. It takes bravery to keep believing when there is no evidence yet. It takes strength to stay disciplined when there is no reward yet. But patience always pays, not always on your timeline, but always in the right way. When you trust the process, you stop chasing outcomes, you focus on effort, you focus on growth, and slowly, quietly, life begins to align. Patience is not waiting for life to change. It is allowing life to shape you while you wait. And when the time is right, what is meant for you will arrive, not rushed, not forced, but ready. Every day, life places small moments in front of you, moments that look insignificant. A comment from someone, a delay, a mistake, a disappointment. In those moments, you may not realize it, but a decision is being made. Not a big, dramatic decision, a quiet one, a reaction. And that reaction slowly decides the direction of your life. Most people think life changes because of big events, a job, a relationship, a loss, an opportunity. But long before those big events arrive, life is shaped by how you respond to small triggers. The words you choose when you are upset, the tone you use when you feel disrespected, the attitude you carry when things don't go your way. These reactions build momentum, and momentum creates direction. When something unexpected happens, your first reaction is usually emotional. Anger, fear, frustration, insecurity, they all rush in together. If you act from that emotional surge, you may feel relief for a moment. You may feel justified. But later, when the emotion fades, the consequence remains: a damaged relationship, a missed opportunity, a regret you cannot undo. One angry reply can close a door forever. One impulsive decision can push you onto a path you never intended to take. One moment of fear can keep you stuck for years. That is why reaction is never neutral. It always moves you somewhere, forward or backward, closer to peace or closer to chaos. Wise people understand this deeply. They know that while they cannot control what happens, they can always control their response. And in that control lies their power. They pause, they breathe, they create a gap between what they feel and what they do. That gap is small, but it is enough to change everything. Your reaction reveals your inner world. When you react with anger, it often shows unhealed pain. When you react with defensiveness, it often shows insecurity. When you react with calm, it shows clarity. Life uses situations to show you who you are, not to shame you, but to guide you. Many people say, "I had no choice. That's just how I reacted." But reaction is always a choice, even if it feels automatic. The problem is not that you don't have a choice. The problem is that you are not aware of it. Awareness turns reaction into response. And response is thoughtful, intentional, and aligned with where you want to go. Imagine driving a car and turning the steering wheel just a little. At first, the change is barely noticeable. But over time, that small adjustment takes you to a completely different destination. Your reactions work the same way. A slight shift in how you respond today can lead to a very different life tomorrow. When you react impulsively, you give control to the situation. You let other people, circumstances, and emotions decide your direction. But when you respond consciously, you take that control back. You become the driver, not the passenger. This does not mean you suppress your feelings or pretend nothing affects you. It means you acknowledge your emotions without letting them dictate your actions. You feel anger without becoming cruel. You feel fear without becoming paralyzed. You feel disappointment without giving up. Life will continue to test you, not because it wants to break you, but because it wants to teach you mastery. Each test is asking one simple question: will you react from habit, or will you respond with awareness? Over time, your reactions become your reputation. People remember how you made them feel in difficult moments. They remember whether you escalated conflict or calmed it, whether you listened or attacked. These memories shape your relationships, your career, and your opportunities. Even your inner life is shaped by reaction. When you react negatively to yourself, with self-criticism, harsh judgment, or hopelessness, you push yourself in a direction of self-doubt. When you respond with patience and compassion, you move toward growth. The direction of your life is not decided in one dramatic moment. It is decided in thousands of small reactions repeated daily. Change those reactions, and slowly, quietly, your direction changes too. So the next time life presses a button inside you, pause. Ask yourself, where will this reaction take me? Because the answer to that question may decide much more than you think. Pressure is something no one escapes. It comes in many forms: expectations, deadlines, responsibilities, uncertainty, and fear of failure. At some point, everyone feels it closing in. What separates people is not whether they face pressure, but how they respond to it. Pressure does not automatically break people, it reveals them. When pressure arrives, the mind often jumps to worst case scenarios. Thoughts become scattered, the body tightens, breathing becomes shallow. In that state, even capable people begin to doubt themselves. But a strong mind does not allow pressure to take over the steering wheel. It stays present, it stays grounded. Strong minds understand that panic is never a solution. Panic narrows vision. It makes problems feel larger than they are and solutions harder to see. Under pressure, panic rushes you into decisions that are driven by fear rather than clarity. A strong mind pauses instead of panicking. That pause creates space for intelligence to work. Pressure exposes habits. If you have trained your mind to stay disciplined, focused, and calm, pressure brings out those qualities. If you have trained your mind to avoid discomfort, pressure brings out avoidance and anxiety. That is why mental strength is built before the storm arrives, not during it. A strong mind does not deny pressure. It acknowledges it without dramatizing it. It says, yes, this is difficult, without adding, and I cannot handle it. The difference in inner dialogue is powerful. The words you use with yourself under pressure can either stabilize you or collapse you. When pressure rises, weak thinking looks for escape, strong thinking looks for structure. It asks, what is within my control right now? And focuses there. It breaks the problem into smaller parts. It takes one step instead of trying to solve everything at once. That is how strength shows up, not in heroic moves, but in steady ones. Many people confuse confidence with the absence of fear. In reality, confidence under pressure is the ability to move forward despite fear. A strong mind feels fear and still functions. It does not wait for fear to disappear. It acts with fear present, but not in charge. Strong minds also accept responsibility without self-destruction. When something goes wrong, they do not collapse into blame or shame. They learn, they adjust, they improve. Pressure becomes a teacher, not an enemy. Think about athletes, leaders, or anyone who performs well in high-stress situations. They are not pressure-free, they are pressure-trained. They have practiced staying focused when the stakes are high. They have learned to regulate their breath, their thoughts, and their attention. A strong mind under pressure returns to basics. It slows the breath. It simplifies the task. It reminds itself of preparation. It trusts effort over outcome. When everything feels urgent, it chooses what is important. Pressure often triggers the urge to rush, but rushing usually creates more mistakes. Strong minds resist this urge. They move deliberately, even when time is limited. That steadiness creates accuracy, and accuracy builds confidence. There will be moments when pressure feels unfair, overwhelming, or undeserved. In those moments, mental strength is not about positivity. It is about endurance. It is about staying upright long enough for the moment to pass. Because pressure, no matter how intense, is temporary. Pressure can either crush you or sharpen you. The difference lies in how you relate to it. When you see pressure as a threat, your mind tightens. When you see it as a challenge, your mind engages. Strong minds do not expect life to be easy. They expect it to be demanding. That expectation prepares them. When pressure arrives, they are not shocked. They are ready. In the end, pressure reveals what you have built inside yourself. If you have built resilience, clarity, and discipline, pressure brings those qualities forward. And when you remain steady under pressure, you do more than survive, you lead, you grow, and you prove to yourself that you are stronger than the moment. In a world full of noise, calm becomes a rare advantage. Most people are so busy reacting, worrying, and overthinking that they miss what is right in front of them. Their minds are crowded with fear, urgency, and assumptions. Calm people move differently through the same situations, not because life is easier for them, but because their minds are clear enough to see what others cannot. When the mind is restless, it jumps to conclusions. It fills gaps with fear. It sees problems everywhere and solutions nowhere. In that state, even obvious answers remain hidden. Calm clears the mental clutter. It slows the inner chaos enough for insight to appear. Think about a time when you were stressed. Someone may have offered advice, but you could not hear it properly. Your mind was too busy defending, worrying, or planning. Later, when you finally calmed down, the solution felt obvious. It was always there, but you were not in the state to see it. Calm does not create solutions, it reveals them. Calm people listen more than they speak. While others are preparing their reply, calm people are absorbing information. They notice tone, timing, and unspoken cues. This deeper listening allows them to understand situations fully, not just partially. And understanding is the foundation of wise action. When emotions run high, perspective narrows. You focus only on what threatens you. Calm widens perspective. It allows you to step back and see the bigger picture. Problems stop looking personal and start looking practical. That shift changes how you respond. Calm also allows patience with complexity. Some situations do not have immediate answers. They require reflection, multiple viewpoints, and careful thought. An agitated mind demands instant clarity and becomes frustrated when it does not arrive. A calm mind is comfortable with uncertainty. It can sit with questions without forcing premature answers. In conflicts, calm is especially powerful. When one person remains calm, the emotional temperature of the entire situation changes. Calm de-escalates tension. It prevents words from turning into wounds. In those moments, calm people often see solutions that satisfy everyone, not just themselves. Calm also creates emotional intelligence. You become aware of your own triggers and patterns. You notice when emotions are rising and choose not to be swept away by them. This awareness allows you to respond thoughtfully rather than defensively. Others may call this wisdom, but it is simply calm in action. Many people believe that thinking faster leads to better solutions. In reality, thinking clearer does. Calm slows the mind just enough to allow logic, creativity, and intuition to work together. It creates space for new ideas to emerge, ideas that would be drowned out by noise. Calm people are also less attached to proving themselves right. Their ego is quieter. Because of this, they are open to learning. They can change their mind when presented with better information. This flexibility allows them to adapt and solve problems more effectively than rigid thinkers. Under pressure, calm becomes even more valuable. While others rush, calm people prioritize. While others panic, calm people organize. While others see obstacles, calm people see options. Their steadiness becomes a reference point for others, a signal that the situation is manageable. Calm is not indifference. Calm people care deeply. But they do not let their care turn into chaos. They channel their concern into constructive action. That is why calm leadership feels reassuring. It communicates confidence without arrogance. The ability to see solutions others miss is not magic. It is the natural result of mental space. When you remove unnecessary noise, what remains becomes clearer. Calm is that space. In a fast, reactive world, calm is a competitive edge. It helps you make better decisions, build stronger relationships, and navigate challenges with grace. And the more you practice calm, the more you realize that clarity has always been available. You just needed the quiet to notice it. Regret is a quiet weight many people carry for years. It does not always come from what they failed to do, but very often from what they did too quickly. A word spoken without thinking, a decision made in haste, a relationship entered or ended in emotional intensity. In most cases, regret is not born from patience, it is born from the lack of it. When emotions are high, judgment becomes weak. You want relief, not wisdom. You want the discomfort to end immediately, even if the solution costs you later. Impatience pushes you toward actions that feel good in the moment but feel heavy afterward. Patience protects you from that trap. Patience gives you time, and time gives you perspective. What feels unbearable today often feels manageable tomorrow. What seems urgent in the heat of emotion often proves unnecessary when the mind settles. Patience creates distance between impulse and action, and in that distance, regret loses its power. Many people believe that acting fast is a sign of confidence. But true confidence does not rush. It trusts that clarity will come. It is not afraid of waiting because it is not afraid of missing out. Patience is rooted in self-trust. You trust yourself enough to pause. Think about how many arguments could have been avoided if someone had waited 1 hour before responding. How many messages could have been kinder if written after emotions cooled? How many decisions could have been wiser if made after a night of rest? Patience saves you from saying and doing things you cannot take back. Regret often whispers, "If only I had waited." Patience listens to that wisdom before the mistake happens. Waiting is uncomfortable. It forces you to sit with uncertainty. It makes you face your emotions without numbing them through action. That discomfort is exactly what builds maturity. When you can tolerate the urge to act without giving in to it, you gain inner strength. Patience does not mean avoiding decisions. It means making decisions at the right time. There is a difference between delay and discernment. Patience sharpens discernment. It allows you to separate what you want from what you truly need. Many life-altering mistakes happen when people are tired, angry, lonely, or afraid. In those states, patience is your safeguard. It says, "Do not decide now." It says, "Rest first. Calm down first. Think again." Patience also protects relationships. Words spoken in anger can leave scars that apologies cannot fully heal. Patience gives you the ability to choose words that heal instead of harm. It keeps temporary emotions from causing permanent damage. Some people fear patience because they associate it with missed opportunities. But most missed opportunities come from rushing into the wrong ones. Patience helps you say no to what is not aligned so you can say yes to what truly is. When you are patient, you give life a chance to reveal more information. Situations evolve. People show their true nature. Options become clearer. Regret often comes from acting before the full picture appears. Patience is not weakness. It is emotional intelligence. It is the ability to manage your impulses rather than being managed by them. It is choosing long-term peace over short-term satisfaction. Years later, when you look back, you will rarely regret the times you waited. But you may deeply regret the times you rushed. Patience acts like a filter. It screens out decisions driven by fear, ego, or urgency. What passes through that filter is usually wiser, calmer, and more aligned with who you want to become. In a world that pushes you to act immediately, patience becomes your quiet protection. It saves you from unnecessary pain. It keeps your conscience light. And most importantly, it allows you to move through life with fewer regrets and greater peace. Most people love the idea of growth, but very few are prepared for how uncomfortable it actually feels. We imagine growth as progress, improvement, and success, but rarely do we imagine the confusion, self-doubt, and slow pace that come with it. Yet real growth is almost always uncomfortable, and it almost always takes longer than we expect. When you begin to grow, something inside you must change. Old habits, old beliefs, old comfort zones start to loosen their grip. That process can feel unsettling. You may feel unsure of yourself. You may feel like you are failing, even when you are actually evolving. Growth often feels like breaking before it feels like becoming. Many people stop growing not because they cannot grow, but because they misinterpret discomfort as a sign that something is wrong. They assume that if it feels hard, it must be wrong. But discomfort is often a sign that something is finally working. It means you are stretching beyond what you already know. Growth is slow because it is layered. You do not transform overnight. You build understanding, skill, and resilience piece by piece. Each small effort may seem insignificant on its own, but together they create change. The slowness is not a flaw, it is what makes growth stable. Think about learning anything meaningful, a new skill, a new mindset, a new way of living. In the beginning, it feels awkward. You make mistakes. You doubt yourself. You wonder if you are capable. That discomfort is not failure. It is learning in motion. Growth also demands patience because results are not immediately visible. You may be working hard with no obvious progress. This can be discouraging. The mind starts to question, is this worth it? Growth asks you to keep going even when the evidence is not yet visible. The slow pace of growth teaches humility. It reminds you that there are no shortcuts to becoming better. You cannot rush understanding or maturity. They arrive when you have lived through enough experience to carry them. Growth challenges identity. As you change, you may outgrow people, patterns, or environments that once felt familiar. This can feel lonely. But loneliness in growth is often temporary. It is the space between who you were and who you are becoming. Discomfort in growth also builds resilience. Each time you face difficulty and continue, you strengthen your ability to handle future challenges. Growth prepares you not just for success, but for sustainability. Many people quit during growth because they compare their slow progress to someone else's highlight moments. They forget that everyone's journey has unseen struggles. Growth is personal. It unfolds according to your experiences, not someone else's timeline. Growth is not always dramatic. Often it is quiet. It looks like better decisions, calmer reactions, deeper self-awareness. These changes may not be celebrated publicly, but they transform your inner world. The discomfort of growth also sharpens self-trust. When you keep going despite uncertainty, you prove to yourself that you are capable of handling discomfort. That trust becomes a foundation for future confidence. Slowness in growth also allows integration. You do not just change behavior, you change understanding. Lessons settle deeply. They become part of you. Fast change often fades. Slow growth lasts. There will be moments when you want to give up because it feels too slow, too hard, too unclear. In those moments, remember that comfort rarely leads to transformation. Growth asks for courage, patience, and consistency. Real growth is not about reaching a destination quickly. It is about becoming someone who can handle life with more wisdom and strength. The discomfort is temporary. The growth is permanent. When you accept that growth is uncomfortable and slow, you stop fighting the process. You stop rushing yourself. You learn to respect the pace of becoming. And one day, you will look back and realize that the slow, uncomfortable moments were shaping you in ways comfort never could.